Welcome to lecture number 31 for ECE 211 Circuits 1, Superposition with Phasors. Now previously, we looked at circuits with constant inputs. That would be DC voltages and or DC voltage sources. The resulting voltages and currents could be found using several different approaches. We could use real numbers with voltage nodes, current loops, and Thevenin equivalents. Now, when we look at circuits with sinusoidal inputs, meaning voltage sources and or current sources that are sinusoids, you get the same results, only now with complex numbers. You use phasors to represent the voltage sources, impedance of the inductors, and impedance of the capacitors as a complex number, i.e. a phasor. At that point, you can then use the same approaches we used at DC. I can use voltage nodes, current loops, Thevenin equivalents. All those approaches work for AC just like they did at DC, only now with complex numbers. So here's a problem. How do you analyze a circuit that has both a DC source and an AC source? So for example, suppose my input has two terms, a 2-volt constant and a sine wave. Similar problem, how do you analyze a circuit where the input has two AC terms, something at 200 radians per second and 300 radians per second? Well, the approach is to use superposition. That's the topic for this lecture. Now, the idea behind superposition is to use the property of linearity. If a system is linear, then what that means is f of x1 plus x2 plus x3 is f of x1 plus f of x2 plus f of x3. Now in English what that means is, suppose I've got a circuit like your stereo. I've got three different sine waves coming in. What I could do is, instead of analyzing the sum of those three sine waves, treat it as three separate problems. Analyze that circuit, how it behaves for the first input, the second input, the third input, add three outputs together, that's the total output. So this is actually how you build it. I just have a single amplifier with an input that contains three terms. The bottom one is how you analyze it. Treat it like there are three separate circuits, analyze each one separately, then sum them. That is superposition. So let's start out with, suppose I have a DC and an AC term. Here is kind of a generic circuit. I've got inductors, resistors, capacitors, a voltage source. Suppose the voltage source has a DC term and an AC term. How do you find V1? Well, this is actually a circuit you're going to see when you get to electronics. This would be like an AC to DC converter. I've got an AC signal coming in. I'm going to rectify it. That gives you V0. It's got a DC term and an AC term. What I want to do is at V1, get a DC term out. It's going to have a little bit of ripple. The DC term is your AC to DC converter. The ripple is how much ripple you have. The AC term is the ripple on V1. But that's something we're going to cover more in electronics. For now, just treat that as a system with an input that has a DC term and an AC term. Well, one way to solve this is to throw it in Circuit Lab. Here's my voltage source. I can have a DC offset. That's right here, 10 volt DC offset. Here's my sine wave at 60 hertz, 11 volts peak. And now solve for V1. I'll have to do a time domain simulation since the input is varying. I'll run it at 100 milliseconds. One cycle is 16 milliseconds. Run it for about 6 cycles, let the transient settle out. Run it again for about 3 cycles, 240 milliseconds. Make the step size 1,000 times smaller. Gives me 1,000 points on the plot. And let her rip. When it's done, here's what I get. So here's your input, V0. Here is V1. And notice that V1 has a DC term and an AC term. There's a maximum and a minimum. The average of the maximum and minimum is the DC term. The DC term is 8.332 volts. The difference is the AC voltage. And for AC, you've got a couple different units. The difference is the peak-to-peak voltage. Difference divided by 2 is the peak voltage. Difference divided by 2 square root of 2 is the RMS voltage. So there's 3 different ways to represent the output: peak-to-peak, peak, or RMS. You got to match the units for AC. DC, there's just one DC term, the average. Well, let's see if we can calculate that. To calculate it, I'll use superposition. I've got 2 inputs, DC and AC. Treat that as 2 separate problems. Let's assume the input is just a DC term, 10. Now let's use phasor analysis. The phasor representation for the number 10 is 10. Resistors are R. Inductors become J omega L. That becomes 0 ohms. Capacitors become 1 over J omega C, or infinity. What that means is this current is 0. Or basically that term doesn't exist. Now solve for V1. I can do voltage division. I can do voltage nodes. Let's just use voltage division. So V1 is 100 over 100 plus 20 times 10. V1 is 8.33 volts. And notice that matches up here. That's the DC term that Circuit Lab found. That's one term. Let's find the AC term. Suppose the input instead is 11 volts at 60 hertz, or 11 sine of 377t. This is 60 hertz. Omega is 2 pi f. So if I'm at 60 hertz, I'm at 377 radians per second. So there's V0. Represent that in phasors. That'd be 0 minus J11. Take the inductor and replace it by J omega L. This is J 377 ohms. Take the capacitor, replace it with 1 over J omega C. That's minus J 26.53 ohms. Now do voltage nodes or voltage division. I can combine these in parallel. 100 in parallel with minus J26 is 6.5 minus J24. Now by voltage division, it's R1 over R1 plus R2, R1 over R1 plus R2. That percentage of minus J11 gives you V1. In polar form, the magnitude is 0.8. Go back to Circuit Lab. That is the peak voltage, 0.8. And the reason peak is this is the peak voltage. If the input is units of peak, the output will be units of peak voltage. The total answer then is DC plus AC. So here's the DC term, what that represents. Here's the AC term, what that represents. Again, real parts cosine minus J is sine. The total answer is sum the two together. I have a DC term and an AC term. That's superposition. Treat this as 2 separate problems, one at DC, one at AC. Kind of a sidelight. A mistake students oftentimes make is they'll see these two V1s, they'll try to add them together. You can't do that. This is at DC, this is at 60 hertz. What those represent is a DC term and an AC term. I can't simplify this. I can't take these two terms, add them together, and get 8.5. They're orthogonal. All sine waves are orthogonal. You can't simplify. So here's a practice problem. Suppose I have this one. Find V1. So let's pause the video and have you try to solve that one. Okay, starting out at DC, when the input is 5, this is 10, this is 0, that's 5. So for DC analysis, I would have V1 is, by voltage division, 50 over 50 plus 10. That percentage of 5. And that would be 5/6 times 5, 4.166 volts. AC, let's do that in red. For AC, this becomes 6. This guy right here, 6 plus J0. This becomes J100. That's J omega L. So by voltage division, V1 is R1 over R1 plus R2. R1 is 50. R1 plus R2 is 50 plus 10 plus J100 times 6. Now there, I can't do that in my head. I need my calculator. So that becomes 50 over 60 plus J100 take the ratio times 6 gives you 1.32 minus 2.20. And what that represents is 1.32 cosine 50t plus 2.20 sine of 50t. That's the AC term. The DC term is 4.167. Add them together, the total answer is DC plus AC. That's superposition. Okay, so here's another problem. Suppose B0 has got two sinusoidal inputs, one at 300 radians per second, one at 500. Now what's B1? Again, I'm going to use superposition. Treat that as two separate problems. Find B1 when the input is 10 sine 300t. Find B1 when the input is 4 cosine of 500t. The total input is the sum of the two. The total output is the sum of the two. I can check that in Circuit Lab. Build this in Circuit Lab. Circuit Lab, I can't have two sine waves for an input, but I can just cascade them. When you cascade them, they add. So here's the first input, here's the second input, add them together, driving V1. This is V0, this is V1. That's what it looks like. It's kind of weird. Can I come up with an equation for that? Well, again, I'm going to use superposition. Treat that as two separate problems, analyze the circuit for each problem separately, add them all up. So for the first frequency, when the input is 10 sine 300t, my input is minus J10. Okay, the real part is cosine minus J is sine. Inductor becomes J300. 1 Henry times 300 is J300. Capacitor becomes 1 over J omega C minus J33 ohms. Solve for V1. I'm going to use voltage division. Put these two in parallel. 100 in parallel with minus J33 is 10 minus J30. I can kind of show you that. So here's 10, inverse, 0, enter, 333.3333. Take that inverse, add inverse. Try that again. 100, inverse, 0, enter, 33.33333. Complex, inverse, add, inverse. There we go. 10 minus J30. Do voltage division. R1 over R1 plus R2 times minus J10 gives you complex number. Real part's cosine, minus J is sine. That's the first half of the answer. Second half of the answer. Suppose the input is 4 cosine 500t. Now the input is 4. This becomes J500, 1 over J omega C minus J20. Put these in parallel, do voltage division, get a complex number. What that represents, real part's cosine, minus J is sine, at 500 radians per second. The total answer then is the sum of the two. Here's the first output, here's the second output, add them together, there's your total output. That's the equation for the signal that Circuit Lab found. Again, a common mistake is I see V1 at 300 V1 at 500, you're really tempted to add these together. You can't do that. Those represent two different frequencies. Here's the first frequency, here's the second. These two terms don't simplify. So that's kind of the idea behind superposition with phasors. If you have a circuit where there are multiple inputs, treat them like separate inputs. If they're different frequencies, you basically have to analyze the circuit differently at each frequency. Again, inductors, capacitors change with the frequencies. Inductors are j omega L, capacitors 1 over j omega C. Their impedances will be different at each frequency. Analyze each one accordingly. Find the output, add them all together, that gives you the total output. That is superposition with phasors. And with that, that's lecture number 31 for ECE 211, Circuits 1.